we want to welcome everybody here.
Everything all at once?
Everything all at once.
It's honestly a sensation.
Aliens listen to it.
Hey there, folks! Welcome to another spectacular, incredible, inspirational episode of Everything at Once. We would like to start today's broadcast with a special thanks to our Patreon producers, Brian G., Josh W., and Sadie M. You guys are awesome.
You're incredible. Patreon is an awesome way to support this show and say thanks. You can become a Patreon supporter by clicking the link below and choosing to be an intern, assistant, or producer level supporter.
We also want to shout out local businesses that have sponsored this episode. These businesses get the Everything at Once stamp of approval and are critical members of the Everything at Once community. We couldn't do it without them. We would first like to thank AFB Services. Much like this show, they do a little bit of everything at once.
AFB Services specializes in landscape and property maintenance needs. This means they can take care of all of your lawn care needs. Everything from reseeding yards, flower bed clean out, tree work, edging, and other miscellaneous maintenance needs.
Check out their website at afbservicesllc.com or give Aaron a call at 814-528-7464.
We would also like to thank friends of the show, Cauldron and Thorne. It is the world's largest witchcraft store, offering a conglomerate of crystals, books, ceremonial supplies, incense, herbs, oracle and tarot cards, and self-care items.
It's a real grocery store for the soul. Located just west of the Colony Plaza on West 8th Street. Cauldron and Thorne is open 7 days a week or 24 hours online at cauldronandthorne.com. Dave.
Yeah.
Do you like ladies?
Yes.
Do you like metal?
Yes.
Well, Dave, I have just the event for you. Eden on Fire is bringing more of that metal heat straight to you at Philly on the Rocks, April 22nd.
Well, how much is it, Tony?
It's $5 to get into the door and for an undoubtedly epic night of metal.
But I only have $1 on me.
Well, Dave, you only need to collect 4 more to make it into the show.
Yes.
You can do it. We all believe in you.
Oh, I'm so freaking jazzed up right now. But before I get too ahead of myself, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank Werner Books. Werner Books is Erie's community bookstore located in the Liberty Plaza.
They sell everything from new to used books at once.
Oh my God.
They also offer a trade-in program to exchange lightly used books for credit towards new books. Or as we like to say in the biz, new content. Check out their website, wernerbooks.com, for information about book clubs, author signings, and other events. Stop in to find your next great read.
Oh yeah.
Now, Dave.
Yeah, Tony.
I'd like to introduce.
Oh, I'm all excited.
I'd like to introduce our next guest.
Oh, who is it?
Allison Lucas.
Oh, she's awesome.
She's incredible. Owner of Green Waves Compost, making a green wave all through Erie with her amazing service that she offers to people. It's incredible. I don't want to tell too much. I don't want to spoil the show.
She is brand new business-wise pretty much, and she's only going to keep growing with this business. It's awesome. This is our Earth Day episode, so you want to be involved in this composting journey much longer than this, but this is a great time to get started.
That's right. Save the earth, people. Save it.
Save it.
And join Green Waves Compost.
Do all of it.
It's amazing. Look them up on Facebook, everything. We love you guys. Support us on Patreon.
Do it.
Get some ad space for your business.
Do it.
And now, Allison Lucas. Well, we're super glad to have you here today.
Yes, I'm super excited to be here.
Allison
Yes.
Lucas?
Yes.
Awesome. We're so excited you're here. Allison is the owner, operator, proprietor of Green Waves Compost. a local Erie organization that is trying to help us move into a positive direction to help save the earth and to help continue to grow and foster and develop the community here with people making their own food, growing their own gardens, doing all that awesome stuff. So we're super excited that you're here.
Yes, I'm super excited. And it's just a focus on getting back to the roots and becoming those sustainable people again and getting out of that hustle and bustle and being a slave to what feels like a never-ending battle with work.
Yeah. Screw that.
Yeah, I'm in on that every day.
Every day I wake up wishing I don't have to go to work. So hopefully someday it'll be a reality.
Yes, all about slowing down and just that getting back to our roots, literally going back to the soil and focusing on just these little systems. Little meaningful changes can make a big difference in the little things that we think about on a daily basis.
Absolutely. And you're like promoting I feel like it's much, you're underselling yourself and your impact on the community and the ability that your idea and your business has could really benefit like a large part of this population.
It is. It's a big idea, but we are a very small organization, and that's the whole point behind Green Waves. I've always thought that, small waves make tenacious tides, and that's what we want to start with. We want to just get that mindset, get people thinking a little bit differently about what is it that I can make this small change of, instead of putting this food scraps, these apples, these orange things that I'm giving to my children, or the dog hair that I'm brushing off of my dog every day, putting it in a bucket instead of in your garbage and leaving it out with your garbage. We do a regular pickup service, but instead of it just going to a landfill and becoming part of the greenhouse gases emitting methane gas left and right, it would turn around and become soil that you can use in your own home garden. And if you really don't want to use it, then you can give it to the community, but put it back into the community, close those loops, and just thinking that this little bit of waste can make a big difference in all of our future generations.
I totally love that whole idea and everything that you just said. And I think that it's such a huge thing, especially today with like you see a lot of like mass monoculture type farming, and they're just depleting the topsoil and there's nothing left, and they can't get their plants to grow or to fruit as much, so they're forced to use all of these chemical components when really all of the things that they need are already provided for them through compost and reusing the unused materials for the things that we eat.
Exactly. It's like, if we don't remember the Dust Bowl, let's learn from history. We know what's going to happen if we continue with the way things are going. We need to make some kind of change, and this is a very simple change to start with. We're trying to make it easier for everybody to access. Because we are small, we are just starting, and yes, we are a business, so we have to pay our bills somehow too. Mm-hmm. So that's why we provide the service, but we also provide discounts to people with low income and students as well. You can get 50% off services. All you have to do is apply, and it's very simple. We eventually want to make our services accessible to everybody.
Right.
If we could do it for free, we would.
Yeah.
That's I would absolutely do that. I have a lot of big ideas to hopefully get some systems in place for schools and for housing authorities or just other low-income establishments to help them start using our compost service like a public service like they do in the UK.
Yeah. A lot of people don't realize, or maybe a lot of people do, maybe I'm underestimating them or underestimating our listeners.
They don't realize.
But compost is like a big part of like trash and garbage receptacles.
Yes.
In other parts of the world.
Oh, yeah. In a lot of other countries, it's for them, they throw it out with their garbage. It's just another thing they do. It's habit, We don't have to try and get them to actually think about it. They are already thinking about it.
Right. And I feel like it's really minimal effort to try and like throw your banana peels or your apple cores or your eggshells or whatever in a different thing than your garbage, and put them out in a certain container so they get taken away and reused and recycled and repurposed.
Exactly.
I think that you underestimate the laziness of the common American, and this could, maybe I'll tell myself, go on in my household a little bit. Like if the recyclable bin in the house, garbage can in the house is full, sometimes a plastic bottle might go in with the other trash. You know, like I won't lie, I can be a little naughty with that.
Yeah, I understand. I understand where you're coming from, and sometimes it is a little bit inconvenient to do things. But like you already said, Allison, it's those small and consistent changes. I think one bottle or one thing every now and then, but is not as big when you're making a larger contribution in a positive direction, you know?
But how many times have you put that bottle in there thinking that you know that it should have gone in that recycling bin?
Oh, almost every time.
Right.
So you're at least thinking about it.
Yeah.
And every time you don't, if it wasn't full, you would have put it in there anyways. So yeah, that is to the laziness of not emptying out the other bin in order to add to. But we want to make it simple and just start, instead of throwing that apple core into the garbage, look at it and throw it in the other bin. I had to get my wife to think differently, and my daughter, she loved it. She was working everybody. She's one of my best marketing person right now. She's definitely on top of that. She got my her father, on board after weeks of telling him. She finally just asked for a bucket and took it over there, and now he's doing it. So really, I can't wait for what summer's gonna offer, because there's a lot to come. We're gonna be at the farmers markets, and that's where I think we're really gonna spread the word of simple changes. So,
plus a lot of those people already are, I think a lot of the shoppers at farmers market are probably looking for a service like this. You know what I mean? You're speaking directly to your audience, the people that might be a little bit more health or agriculturally conscious. So I bet you that will be an awesome success. That's brilliant marketing.
Yes, that was my first go-to, was the farmers markets.
I think that sounds like it'd be something that would be cool on like a festival scene too.
I would love to do that at a festival. I've been looking, I'm following the vendors, things on Facebook and Instagram to find any opportunities, really. And even the farmers market was questioning, like, well, you don't really have a product. I said, well, actually, I have buckets. There will be physical buckets. And then I have other things that I'm going to be promoting as well. Cool. So yeah, I'm excited, and they accepted. And I'm also doing some talking at youth programs at the Bethesda Trinity Center. I'm doing a couple speaking gigs there, and I will be at the St. Vincent Career Fair as well for the agricultural careers.
Awesome. That's so cool. And it's really great to hear that you're like reaching to a younger demographic as well, because as much as the kids are assholes, as we've already discovered on this show, they are also our future for sure. And being able to instill these positive habits early on is critical in making sure that they continue into the future.
Definitely. It's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. It's the younger crowd is much more susceptible to learning these things and understanding and wanting to make a difference. I felt like a kid when I started this business. I still feel like a child sometimes when I'm in there. I'm playing with food. I'm throwing it in my, I'm out back with my chickens, and everything I do, I'm excited about doing. I want to find more things I can teach and more things I can talk about. It's not just about the pickup services. It's definitely about a lot more. And we want to see more sustainable systems, not just through compost, but things like solar as well.
Absolutely. How long have you guys been doing this?
So we just started in January. We launched in February. I got to the drawing board in January after starting my LLC and sitting on it for a year. Mm-hmm. So I sat on my LLC for a while, not knowing exactly where to start, because I really didn't have capital behind me. But so when I finally came around to, I spent a little bit of time at the juice jar, and she got me thinking about it, because she had buckets upon buckets of things that were compostable, and she had her brother pick it up for his farm, but it wasn't, that was just a one person thing. It wasn't a system. He wasn't offering his services to anybody else. So I immediately went home and said, I already compost at home. I do it on small scale, very small scale, but it's easy to go big scale. And there's multiple ways to do it, to where in the wintertime around Erie, when you can't really be outside, I do it in bokashi bins indoors. And then I also do vermicomposting as well. My daughter loves doing the vermicomposting. She's a big fan of worms and insects, so she wants to incorporate some other insects into our composting over the next couple years.
That sounds fun, but kind of scary.
It can be, yeah. She wants to step up to spiders and scorpions. I'm not ready.
What?
No.
You can
No.
use scorpions to make compost.
No, not scorpions to compost, but that's just what she wants, and that's where
Oh,
we
okay.
agreed.
Just as like a pet.
Yeah, she wants to do the pet. But no, we do isopods right now, and she composts in her room with just the isopods, and then we also have mealworms, and we're going to look into the black fly larva. I don't know if we're going to get to it this year, but possibly next year, but that will help with our chickens as well.
So they'll have a little bit of something to munch on.
Yep.
Keep them healthy and happy and doing their chicken thing.
Yes. They look for insects all winter long, which is tough on them. Chickens amaze me. They go out in the middle of winter. They don't like when it's blizzarding snow, but they will
Sure.
go out in the snow and they'll dig and dig and dig. And they're always hungry. So I come out and it's like 4 little dinosaurs coming at me. Just, where's my food, lady? We can't find the bugs. So that's when we started with the mealworms, and we started putting some potatoes and just very basic things in there, and with their food, and it provides them food, but it also breaks down those potatoes in no time. So yeah, that's one. They don't decompose as much as the worms, but they definitely do their part.
And do you use the chicken manure as part of your composting in the
Yep.
bigger mix?
It goes right on the outdoor pile. We have straw from local farms that we use in their bedding. Right now our porch is their housing. They're just in a little playhouse, a little kid's old playhouse.
That's awesome.
That we boarded up.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's, we're trying to reuse and repurpose.
Right.
It was the easiest way. We eventually want to upgrade to a shed so I can get more chickens. But for now it works, and we just clean it out. Everything goes right on the compost pile. It's part of the brown material that adds to the pile for the good mix of the green and the brown.
Cool.
I think it's amazing. Like every guest that we've had on, we were talking before you got here today, like every green guest that we've had
All
on,
the farmers, all the
farmers, all the urban gardeners, all that. It's so incredible with these type of initiatives. You use everything.
Definitely.
Literally everything gets used. Like nothing goes to waste.
Yep. Oh yeah, we love it. It's our own little closed loop homesteading urban area. I grew up not on a farm myself, but around all the farms you could think of. And living in the city, I like living in the city, and I like where my daughter goes to schools, and I like having friends close. So we want to do what we do in the city right now, and we want to show others that it's possible, because I've been through this struggle and I know what it's like. So it's also not just about saving the environment, but it's about saving yourself, having that balanced life for yourself, and trying to get back to finding that balance between not being burnt out anymore and getting, we can do this here. We don't have to go out to find it.
Right.
We can do more for ourselves.
I feel like that offers like a really high degree of freedom too.
It definitely does.
Like having your own system that kind of supports itself and builds off itself and does its own thing. It keeps you free from all of the other stuff that could go wrong out in the world.
It feels
it's
like
protected.
It feels like it's almost, with people we've been talking to, it's almost like the new American dream. It's not like pull yourself up by the
Exactly.
bootstraps and
It's move out into the forest.
It's move out into the forest, or let me be able to handle everything so everybody else, I don't have to rely on anything else, you know?
Yeah.
Well, if you've noticed, our planet is very off balance. Everything right now is very off balance. Everything we've gone through, it feels
It's
like
crazy.
we're on the
We don't
verge
even
of
have winter
apocalypse.
anymore.
Yeah, no, exactly. So now's the time to start making moves towards greener Erie, especially we're getting more sun. We have longer springs, longer summers and longer falls.
We have water too.
Yes,
Yeah.
we have a fantastic resource here, something that also gets overlooked constantly. I have a bit of a background in marine biology. I never got
Cool.
to finish. COVID happened. And
Boo, COVID.
Wow, yeah. Yes, it was terrible. And I spent all of my tuition on getting through that. So never went back and finished. But that was one of my lifelong dreams, was to research actually the coral reef systems, and try and get them back to being balanced. So I kind of, that was before kids, that was before life happened. So those were my big college dreams. But I still have that passion and I have that drive. And that's what I bring that back to a realistic scale for everybody, that anybody can do.
Right. And I feel like when I was younger, I always had like these big, massive dreams, like saving the coral reef, you know what I mean? Or like changing the world or whatever.
Yes.
And really, as I've grown older, I've learned that making a difference can be so much smaller than that and means so much more when it's with like people that you develop an intimacy or a fondness with, you know what I mean? And doing a small part to change, even just a couple people's lives.
Yep. It's that macro to micro view. You've got to have a bigger outlook and understand the bigger picture to make those small changes that create those ripples, those waves that eventually turn to tenacious tides.
And even if you do end up in a situation where you are like a player on the world scale, let's say, you still have to do the little things and build them up before you get to
Oh, yeah.
that point.
Exactly.
You don't start at the top.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yes, and everything, when you're starting from the bottom, it takes work. So yeah, there is some work involved, but it's the work you're putting into yourself, you're putting back into your life. You're not giving yourself away to somebody else and then paying you for your time. You're actually paying yourself for your time. But more in the metaphysical sense, in the, you're balancing yourself, you're grounding yourself, you're getting back to that, I want to be here in the here and now, and I want to do for me.
Yeah. And I think that when you're personally invested in like your own business or your own project, you work 1,000 times, maybe not 1,000 times harder, but I give many more fucks about things that I'm doing for myself, like this podcast, compared to like my normal day job.
Oh, yeah.
And not to say that I don't care at all about that, but like if this dies, I'm going to be devastated.
Yeah, I don't care about my day job.
Well, I don't have a day job anymore, and that was part of the reason is I couldn't do it anymore. I was up against people that had no values, they said they were helping people, and in no way were they actually helping people, and it was killing me, and I couldn't let myself be degraded by these people anymore. And unfortunately, I have found many employers that like to bully people and just waste your time and use you for all of your efforts. And that's what I didn't want to spend my time working for somebody else that didn't carry the same values that I had, especially when I'm raising a child in this whirlwind of a social environment.
Culture.
Yes.
Or decline of culture.
There you go. Yes, very much a decline.
Yeah. So that must have been really scary. Like when you stopped going to work or whatever and we're like, you know what, I'm going all in on Green Waves.
It still is. It's, we're just starting in January, launching in February. We're still in those beginning steps and still just trying to gain a following right now and just put our name out there.
Yeah.
So,
how has it been so far? Have you been excited with the results?
It's very exciting. It's nerve-wracking but exciting at the same time. It's starting a business takes time.
Sure.
Getting that marketing out there takes time, and not putting a lot into it and living that sustainable system myself in this business. I'm using word of mouth for marketing right now, all social media. I've barely printed anything, and the things that I've printed are all compostable. I've been handing them out myself. I'm trying to really live that system, that closed loop system in the business. So yes, it is a very slow go of it. So yeah, there is a lot of nerve wracking, can we get things taken care of? But that's one of the reasons why we're also making changes at home, big changes that we have to invest in a little bit right now, but they're going to pay out in the long run.
Right.
Simple as we went solar ourselves, and we are looking to put in a wood stove so we can slow down on the natural gas as well. And there's lots of other ideas to instill there, but...
Right. So are you going to make what is it called, a jet furnace?
A jet furnace? No, it's just going to be a regular old wood stove. But the way that our house is set up, we actually bought an old milkman's house. So it's a very interesting setup. It looks very custom, everything custom done.
Cool.
And the fireplace did heat the whole entire house previously. So we're going back to using that system, but in a much more efficient way to where we won't even have much of a gas bill in the wintertime when we're just burning wood. So.
Yeah, that's very cool. I know some friends that were building like I think they were called jet furnaces. I don't know. It was like a garbage can and like all this ridiculous stuff.
Oh, okay.
And it looked really hardcore, and that's how they heated up their house. And I personally have been like trying to convince my girlfriend Celinda that we need to have like a primitive weekend sometime in the winter because we have a wood burning like fireplace here that I like to light up sometime. It's more just for like decoration or like because I like the aesthetic of having a fire in the house, but I want to do like a primitive weekend where I cook all the food on like at the fireplace and don't use any electricity, no TV, no nothing, just like
I love it.
Super primitive. But she's not completely sold on it yet. Plus I feel like in order to really do it properly, because of the kind of person I am and that I really just like to punish myself for things, it has to be like negative 20 degrees outside or something like that. So it's like a real challenge. Yeah, I gotta go real hard.
Yeah.
Maybe if we get like 5 Patreon subscribers, I will do this and document it for you guys.
If we get 10, I'm gonna get him one of those big metal barrels that like the homeless population use for fires.
And
you can have that in my living room.
You can have that in your living room. I will have it delivered.
That sounds like luxury here.
With 10 of you, give us some Patreon love. I'll buy that barrel for them.
Make it happen, guys. Do you ever do anything like that? Have you ever like lived primitively, or is that
not totally lived primitively? But again, where I come from, it was all well water, and
that's the best water anyway.
Oh yeah, I actually miss that sulfur water. And my skin misses it, my hair misses it, and it might have smelled like rotten eggs, but I do not care.
Right.
Oh yes.
Love it.
The city water is full of chlorine and is not friendly to the skin.
No. One of our old guests, Josh, who's a homesteader, and we had him on to talk about that. The community that he lives in has a underground spring. I forget what it's called. It's a certain kind of spring where the water just like gushes up from the ground.
Okay.
And they have like a little creek, and there's a hose next to the creek, and it just pours out water, and you can just drink like right from the creek water. Oh, it's so good. Best water in Pennsylvania, I swear.
Yes, we always had to drive a couple miles to a fresh spring to collect our drinking water, because you didn't want to drink the well water at home. So we would have that and actually go to my dad's house, and I look forward to having that fresh spring water. But and again, not completely primitive, but we know how to handle things when the power goes out and when you don't have electricity. You know, my grandmother was just an Air Force wife, and she never worked, but she volunteered and taught kids, and she taught me everything I know about my sustainable life, from canning.
Super cool.
Yes. She was the one who taught us how to garden and near a swamp at that. So that was always an interesting, chasing the snakes out of her garden before being able to start. And then as well as starting a fire, and she took us camping every year. So we would have family reunions, and we would camp for 2 weeks, and she would take us out, my brother and I, a couple weeks early, and we would just live off of the camping grounds. And half the time we would be in a tent because we didn't want to be in the camper
RV,
with her. Yeah. She took the luxury life in the RV, but we definitely got the rough and tough in the tents with
Plus you got your own space then. Back when you were a kid, you're like, hell yeah, I got my own tent, or I got like my tent with my one friend or my brother or whoever, and that's huge back.
Yep. And then going fishing, and then I was never a fan of the fish whenever I was younger, but I do remember that, they would skin it and cook it on the fire. My grandmother would make her coffee on the fire. We would have eggs on the fire. So, yeah. It definitely, and in the outhouse, I do know how to dig a hole out in the woods
Right.
if you need some privacy. Otherwise, just go.
They got so many cool composting toilets now
They
too.
do, and you can actually. So there's this new bio generator thing that I've actually been very interested in. But you can set up your own waste to generate fuel for your house, for your stove.
Right. And a lot of people, I know, like the ones that I'm familiar with use like pine wood chips or whatever, and they don't smell. They're awesome. They have them in their house, and then
Yep.
they have like all sorts of compost after they empty it out or put it
Yep.
where it needs to go and let it do its thing for a while. And it really seems like it's a pretty cool system.
It is.
It's not as gross as a lot of people think of
No.
it or imagine it as.
Yep, that's definitely one of my goals on my to-do list, to add one of those to the house. If I can make my urban home as sustainable as possible, that's where I want to go before I ever move on to my next phase. I want to
Yeah.
see every last little system I can put in place.
So with all of this compost, I got to imagine you have a pretty crazy garden.
Not yet. My chickens destroyed them last year.
Oh, no, those birds.
Yes. No, we're working on it. So we've only been in the house since September of 21, and there is a lot of work to do. But before us, the couple that was there didn't do any landscaping, any yard work for 10 years. We actually didn't know that when we bought the house, there was this massive fire pit in the backyard, like a brick oven fire pit. It was encased in grapevines.
Oh, wow.
We worked an entire day to find this massive stove that we use all the time now.
Cool. So
Yeah.
this was like really ground zero kind of
Pretty much.
when you moved into this house.
Yes, and you can even see now our chickens are even digging out behind that stove is where the original owner, which is the milkman, their landfill was, their personal landfill. We're getting all kinds of things pulled out in little glass pieces, but a lot of it is already like compacted down into coal, so it's pretty
cool.
Yeah, it's cool to see, but they're digging out the landfill. So yeah, we're using a lot of our home compost is going to refilling the soil in that yard because it is so depleted, because there has been nothing done except invasive species taking
Sure.
over the whole backyard. I think I've pulled out about 20 of those catawba trees, the bean trees that get everywhere.
Any bamboo?
No bamboo.
You're lucky
I
because
know.
that is awful.
I've heard stories. The grapevines are bad enough. We have about one more tree that is trailing on my neighbor's that is covered in grapevines that we need to get rid of. But I think we've finally gotten rid of the things that we don't want, and we can actually build our gardens again.
That's awesome. So you've been learning, I would imagine, a ton of different stuff about home remodeling and taking care of this stuff in the process. And
So much.
it's so cool to do that too. Like, I don't know how much experience you have doing that kind of stuff, but for me, that would be like, oh my God, I get to learn how to do so many different things by taking on a project like this where I'm going to be living.
I have taken on every single project you
Doing
can
it
think
all
of.
yourself. I'd
Yes.
imagine that you were in there like with a tool belt and like getting stuff done.
Oh yeah, so I've been working on my kitchen since February of 22. I was working at a government office and was laid off for a little bit, seasonal work. But that time off, I needed a project, so it was time to redo the kitchen. We had major ant problem to begin with, and we found they were coming in behind cupboards and things. So it was like,
Oh no.
I'm tearing everything out. And we're just starting fresh. And that's what we did. And it made a huge difference. And I learned all about plumbing. I learned all about doing electricity. I successfully installed a new outlet for my dishwasher and my garbage disposal, and they both work properly.
Ooh,
So
look at
that-
you go.
I know.
Did you electrocute yourself at all?
No, I didn't. It took me 5 days.
See, I do simple stuff, but I electrocute myself frequently.
I think I learned from my father. He electrocuted himself all the time. He was a Mr. Fix-It mechanic who, could fix anything, do anything. And that was, I think he was the one that really taught me not to be afraid of anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he bought me my power tools and taught me how to change my tires and stuff on the side of the road.
So many people look at like a project like that and are like, I feel like they don't have the willingness to learn or to try, and they just farm it all out like so quickly. You know?
I mean, there's definitely mistakes are made and
sure.
shit happens, but you move on, you learn, and you keep going. I mean, sometimes it can be a little bit of a costly mistake, but when you're doing it yourself,
You're saving a bunch of money.
exactly, you are. You just need to take the time. I mean, YouTube has so much out there. You can learn how to do anything if you just take the time and
That's how we got a podcast.
right? That's it. Hey, that's how I'm trying to teach other people how to do stuff.
Yeah.
But it's all out there. The knowledge is everywhere. So the only thing stopping yourself is you. You know, it's you don't have to pay to take a whole class just to learn how to do a couple outlets. It's really not that difficult.
The barrier of entry for so many things nowadays is just incredibly low.
Yeah, because a lot of times, like before YouTube was so huge and had literally such a giant, like a huge conglomerate of information available. Like if you were going to change an outlet, you needed to like either find somebody that knew what they were doing, or you had to like go to a class or like learn it somehow.
I mean, and I'm not saying anybody go out there and just try to change an outlet. You do need to know the information
Sure,
before, or you can get shocked. So,
or you might get shocked anyway and know the information.
Yeah, it does happen.
It's not that bad though, folks. It's really not. I kind of like it.
But the real thing is you got to give it a shot. At least try and understand the information. If you don't understand it, then that's when you can move on to ask a buddy for help or something. But we can do way more for ourselves than we let ourselves.
Right. We don't give ourselves enough credit and enough belief to go out and try something new and maybe mess it up or have a hard time.
Yep. There's too much pressure on everybody and everything. It's sad. And I saw that in my daughter. Even she's only in 2nd grade, but in 1st grade she really opened up. She felt so much pressure all the time to make everybody happy, make everybody her friend, and I'm like, that's not really the goal behind school. I know you did so much in online classes, so it was really easy to just go away and be yourself and not have to do those face-to-face interactions. So it was that anxiety moment of getting over that and then learning that, okay, I don't have, it's okay to be amongst other people and not have to, do everything for them. Breaking through that alone I've seen her grow so much, and it's just those little things that, you don't have to be so anxious about stuff all the time. You just got to stop for a minute and find your balance.
Right.
I think that's part of the dark side of technology, though, not to go too far down this rabbit hole, but there's so much you can learn and there's so many positive things, but man, it's like a cesspool of judging yourself against other people. Or when we were kids, you'd go to school and you'd go home, and unless you had friends over or whatever, that was just it. Now it doesn't stop. You got the social media. You never have a break from the social world around you.
Exactly, and that builds people up too. They want the best things. They want to. We live in a capitalist world. You're gonna find that everywhere. Image matters, money matters, all of that. And that's the things we need to break through. That really doesn't matter. What matters is this world that we live on and the lives that we lead.
Yeah. Finding that inner fulfillment within ourselves that doesn't need to be validated by critical acclaim or massive gobs of money.
Exactly. And
I think it's super interesting too with bringing up kids that they seem to be, I feel like during the time of childhood in elementary school, in middle school and high school, at least in today's culture and in my experience in those as a youth and growing up, a lot of that creative nature is really driven out of you. You know what I mean? You have to go in line and you have to go to the bathroom when everybody else goes to the bathroom, and you're not allowed to do anything your own way because you have to do it the way the teacher showed you, because if you don't do it that way, you're going to get points off of your test whether or not you have the right answer.
Yep.
You show personality in a way that's not socially acceptable it's chastised.
It really is. To have a personality anymore we are lifting those up. You can see it all over, Instagram and stuff, but those people are still living very lonely lives and not finding the support in their own groups and systems. But that conformity itself, yes, that's why actually I send my daughter to Montessori, and we absolutely love that school because they don't put everybody on the same page and in the same paragraph. They spread them out to what they know, and my daughter has been thriving there, and I couldn't be happier with her education.
Yeah, I know a few people who have sent their kids there, and all of them have had they're all like tremendous little kids. I can't say that like the parents are having a great experience because it's really not about the parents. It's about them. And the kids are all amazing. They're super interesting. They're well-spoken. They know things and can carry on a conversation at a much higher level about particular things than I think many other children.
Oh yeah, I've been talking to my daughter like she's an adult for a few years now, and it's been amazing. She reads to me. She teaches me stuff all the time. She watches. We have a rule. She's allowed to watch YouTube, but it's only educational stuff, and it's been that way for a long time. And that's how she fell in love with reptiles and insects, is the world of YouTube. Mm-hmm. And she brought some of that home for me, and I've been learning a lot with her. We go to all the reptile expos now. Takes me back to the days before I used to have reptiles before I had her, but all the salmonella and stuff, we got rid of everything that we had. But we're coming back around, and it's really exciting to get back into that and create our own ecosystems at home for something else. We're working on a turtle right now. And
sweet, I had a turtle for a long time. He was awesome.
Yes, we have a little albino red-eared slider. Mm-hmm. And we need to build a pond out back for him, and one that can again feed into something else and filter stuff. So we're researching how to do a sustainable pond, one that can go throughout winter too, because we've been reading salt water in bottles is simple enough to keep water from freezing. So there's stuff out there that can make it happen to where we don't have to run electricity to a pond to keep it warm.
Or dig it like 8 feet deep.
Exactly, yeah. And we can put it near the compost. We can also surround, we can use our already systems in place to help it thrive as well.
And I credit you as a mother for being supportive about this, because I feel like that goes such a long way to have anybody in your corner or anybody in your community that's like, oh, you want to learn about turtles and bugs and insects? Let's go.
Let's do this.
We're in.
Yeah.
Come on. We're learning everything about it. We're going to educate ourselves. We're going to find out something that we're passionate about, and we're going to build and be able to recycle and reuse that passion from one project into the next project.
Definitely. It's been a thrill ride. I love it. I do. Her other interests are video games, which I'm not near as interested in. So it's the one thing that we really connect on and we can build on, and both of us are building on it all the time.
Right. And I think video games are good. I like video games. I think they're creative and storytelling, and it gives people a sense of imagination.
That's how she learned how to read.
Really?
Yeah, that she learned how to read through video games. She wanted to play Pokemon back when, I think she was 5. Mm-hmm. Or 5 or 6. It was during the lockdown times, but I didn't want to sit there and have to read it to her all the time because I was also working at the time.
Sure.
So, I can't. If you want to play these games, you're going to have to learn how to read that so you can continue playing it and not interrupt me every 5 seconds.
Right.
And she did. It was her motivation to pick it up and to keep going. So ever since then, she plays all the games, all the Zelda games. She plays Super Mario Brothers. She plays, Minecraft is her favorite still. All the Switch games. But she blows my mind at how much that she's learned and how much she's taken in and how evolved it's become just from that little bit of push, like do this for yourself and you'll be good. Mm-hmm. And she is. So
we've been talking about how important it is to have somebody in your corner. Who's been there to help you through this process? Have you been able to meet different people or other people that are on the same wavelength that are trying to make some sort of green initiative or make positive change in the community?
I have definitely been building relationships along the way. I have found a few people. am partnering with the Sisters of St. Joseph neighborhood. I'm going to be donating some compost to them and hopefully helping them with gardens and things. We've got a meeting coming up to see what all we can do for each other.
Cool. That's great.
Yes, and then I also am partnering with ECAT since we are on the east side. We want to see what we can do together, at least be a part. They're doing the east side revitalization down there, and
awesome.
we really want to be a part of that. So
Absolutely. There's big plans for the east side of Erie. Some of our other guests are talking about like big monstrous undertakings.
there is, yes, and it's exciting because I call it the butthole of Erie because we're down by the sewage plant, and it really takes forever to get anywhere from there. So, yeah, it's been the butthole of Erie, and it's really nice to see somebody caring about it. Just the murals alone that have gone down there, and with ECAT, I know it's, another school gone, but they really took it over and did something positive with it and added more education where, prior opportunities are exhausted. So.
Right.
Oh yeah, the east side. I mean, that's just been malnourished and
Yes,
For a long
it
time.
is.
And it's great to see new life.
cast off to the side. I mean, they tore down the East Avenue Bridge, and just like ever since then, it's
yeah.
been. I mean, it was bad before that, but it's just gotten worse.
Yeah.
It's good to see new life coming in there, and I love to see it. It's really an amazing transformation that I think Erie in general has been going through over the past few years, and hopefully far off into the future as well.
Definitely. The downtown partnership has been doing a lot, but, I've also been seeing a lot coming in that's a little more corporatized, and a lot coming in that's not local business, especially with all the festivals downtown. Wanting to see those be more locally
Sourced and
Yeah, definitely. That would be awesome. But yeah, other than, I don't really have too many complaints of seeing all the buildings looking nicer and stuff like that. But I do want to see a little more focus back on that local business establishment in the summer.
let's feed our neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting though, because we're talking, and I totally agree with you. But we're talking like near the beginning of this about how people as like their own little pods are like totally separate from each other. But from all the people we've been talking to over the last year, as far as like the businesses in Erie, like the local ones, everything's just like coming together. Everybody works so well together
is.
and supports each other, and it's not like a culture of competition.
No, there's a mindset out there that the businesses. COVID hit businesses differently, and they had to learn how to survive differently. And I think that's a lot of it changed other people's mindsets. It was, eat or be eaten and find other ways to survive. And that's what a lot of people, I think that shift, the people that stood up and for themselves and found a rowboat and said, I can do this, are the ones that are leading those initiatives and building that mindset. And it's definitely expanding. You can see where people aren't afraid to connect anymore.
So earlier on, you also mentioned that you had like an upcoming project in regards to power and energy.
Oh, yes. I'm very excited. We are partnering with Green Home Systems to bring more solar panels and more solar systems to Erie. They recently installed a system on our house, and we absolutely love it. And we are going to start offering a lot more information, and hopefully we can see more growth in that area. I would like to see it more in the community itself, like on schools. And hey, maybe if Erie Insurance can start, they can show everybody that big names can go big too, and we can make changes as well. But to even see it on the buildings that need to be more sustainable, that they don't need to pay bills, they have other things to worry about. So I would love to see if we can get that initiative geared towards those kind of audiences.
Especially when the main thing that you need for solar panels is space, and a lot of these buildings have an abundance of it on their roof.
Yes. And hey, as long as there's something facing west, even if you're not facing west, as long as there's open space, the sun is always there. And if anybody's noticed, we have a lot more sunny days in Erie now all of a sudden. Winter was not that bad this year, and I'm afraid to say it, but it's going to stay that way. That's
That's what I'm thinking
climate
too.
change, you know.
Alligators in Lake Erie any day now. I'm calling it. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, I had actually had an uncle that, like 20 years, we were like smoking pot. I was like, you're an idiot. If you're listening, I'm sorry, but you are an idiot. But I remember like 10 or 15 years ago, I was smoking with him, and he was like, I read a book in the 80s that, you know, by like 2040 year, he's going to be a tropical paradise. And I was like, shut up, dude. Give me that, give me that joint.
Get out of
Stop
here.
smoking, you know, like, but it's starting to seem like that might be a reality. Sorry, uncle, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry
no.
for ever doubting you.
It is. Climate change is real. I mean, we've all observed the effects of it. So yeah, it's great that Erie's getting warmer, but you know, that's bad signs for a lot of other places around the world.
Oh, yeah.
Natural disasters left and right, and you know, we've got to make some changes. So.
Yeah, I was in Miami in March, and I mean, it didn't happen obviously, but I had a small like fear the whole time that when I was down there, it would just sink into the ocean like they've been talking about.
They have like
Yeah.
big flood problems when tide comes in, as far as I
They
know.
do, yeah. I have family down in Miami, and that's something they've always joked. I mean, back 20 years ago, they were joking about that falling off. If they don't come to the next reunion, we all know why. So
Yeah,
goodbye,
because Miami's underwater.
Yep. Same. I mean, California's headed there too. So
Yeah.
Or like New Orleans, they've just been destroyed by hurricanes over and over and over again, you know.
Yeah, so many things are going on, and
Coast.
it really makes it necessary for us to adapt and change. And I think it's really going to make Erie a much more popular and desirable place to be, because we're going to have a lot of the things that other places don't, like a beach and mainly water, I think.
yeah, probably mainly water. We definitely need to work on getting it cleaned up a little bit, though, too.
Yeah.
If we're going to rely on that resource, we've got to focus on getting those algae blooms down.
Yeah.
I think it's
And you're part of that too, because now instead of using phosphorus and nitrogen
Yes.
in the like massive monocrops that's running into the water and causing these algae blooms, they have compost available.
That's right.
Yes, that's what another program or organization is, the Watershed Initiative in Erie. We would like to help with that as well. But yeah, all those things. It's getting that mindset different and building these systems that are going to make a change for the better for everybody. You know, I hope that people become much more proud of Erie. I know there's a shift that the Erieites are becoming proud of Erie once again, and
Right.
we want to keep it that way. You know, for a while I fought it as well. I wanted to get out of Erie. I wanted to
course.
move on and go somewhere better, but why not turn
Make
what we...
here better.
Exactly.
And there's so much more opportunities in a place that you're making better compared to a place that's already awesome.
Exactly. And there's so much more you can give back to as well. It's a twofold, you know, it works both ways. You give in, and it gives back, and we can all be proud, and we can all live happier lives amongst our community.
It feels better to help your neighbor too than some rando that you've never met before, because there's
Exactly.
500,000 people in your city.
So I miss that. I miss that a lot, is being able to just go to my neighbor all the time. You know, back when I was growing up, my mom would have trusted, you know, me running off to my neighbor. There's other kids there, and we would all be fine running down the road together. Now I'm afraid to send my daughter 2 blocks. If you're not in my eyesight, you've got to get back. So
it's all part of that, you know, it's not just a green initiative to make the world sustainable again. You know, it's a civic thing too.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
definitely a cultural issue. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And getting people, and the best way to like teach a person anything is to lead by example, in my experience. And I think as we see more people continue to lead and show other people that there's a better way to live, or there's
Exactly.
alternatives compared to the way that they have been living, I think more people will choose that, because at the end of the day, it always feels better to love somebody than it does to hate them.
exactly, lead by doing. You know, just show others what can be done, how things could be done, and be willing to teach and educate, and not keep to yourself and say, no, this is all mine.
My
This is-
secrets.
Exactly. You're not allowed to have my knowledge, even though it's
Yeah.
public knowledge already, you know. It's just maybe somebody's not a visual learner. Maybe they're a hands-on learner, and they need to learn from that next door neighbor, or they're too shy and just need that little bit of push.
I think there's a lot of ignorance out there too, because I mean, somebody who's never been around a farming community or around a garden or anything probably has no idea
Yeah, could be
that like you just make
intimidating.
compost. You know what I mean? You just need some old scraps and or grass cuttings, mulch, leaves, whatever.
Exactly. Anybody can do it at home. There's simple steps to composting, and anybody can really. I think I posted something on Instagram the other day. It doesn't matter what you have or where you are, just start somewhere.
Just do
Start with what
something.
you have. Yeah. And for me, I was in an apartment a couple years ago growing tomatoes in totes on my front porch, So do whatever you can wherever you are, and no little decision to do better is too small.
Right. And I think that it's important to not take no for an answer when it's something that's important and passionate to you, and let the rest work out however it's supposed to. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Keep doing your thing. Keep honing your craft. Keep getting better at whatever it is that you're passionate about. And eventually all the other pieces will fall into place. And it may not be exactly what you were intending at the very beginning, but it's still something that is adjacent or directly related to, what it is that you're trying to do or whatever it is that you're passionate about that started this ball rolling.
Exactly. You start somewhere and it'll lead somewhere. It might not be exactly where you thought, but you learn along the way.
Yeah. No positive action is wasted.
Exactly.
Indeed. Especially in a small community like this. Where everybody is connected and everybody knows each other, or maybe not knows each other, but maybe we have 3 degrees of separation instead of the normal 6.
I've always said Erie is the biggest small town I've ever experienced in my life. So yeah, we're a city, but it's very small town vibes.
Yeah. So for all the people out there, Allison Lucas, Green Waves Compost, she's got amazing buckets that you can get and start making a positive change for yourself, for the community, for everybody. And the thing is that you're providing a service that you give back to, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
It's not just oh yeah, you're taking this away, but now you have amazing compost to grow
Yep.
awesome fruits, tomatoes, vegetables, whatever it is you're trying to do. And all of any food that I've ever had that somebody grew in their yard is 1,000 times better than anything I've ever bought at a grocery store. So treat yourself, treat your family, and give the people something delicious. I don't know. Food is one of my love languages. You know what I
Definitely.
mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'll cook something for somebody that I really care about, and it might be I'll spend all this time. It'll be extravagant or whatever. I'll spend I spent 3 hours boiling an orange for a cake once.
Okay, yep.
I love stupid
just to get
stuff
that
like
flavor,
that.
yes.
It was part of the recipe. So I'm oh fuck, I guess I'm
do
boiling
it.
oranges all fucking day today.
It's made with love at that point. You're honing in on something. You want this, you're gonna make it happen. And hey, colorful food is my favorite. I
Right.
shoot for anything colorful.
And you're enabling the people to do this at home at a low cost, save themselves money, and give themselves their own personal sense of fulfillment or enjoyment or whatever it is that comes with growing a vegetable.
Yep. Yeah. It all starts with just throwing your scraps in a different bin and leaving it out on the front porch. If you're not a gardener either, you could at least be happy to know that what your food scraps, what you've sent in, is going back to the community in other community gardens.
Not to the giant landfill above the casino.
Exactly.
Trash
or
mountain.
retail
Trash
stores.
Mountain, that's right.
Trash Mountain.
We know
yeah.
Trash Mountain doesn't need to keep growing, people.
No, it really doesn't.
There are things we can do
bad
to
enough.
change it, and they're rewarding to yourself personally and to the community.
Yes.
So go out and freaking do it.
Yeah.
Go out and do it. Make a change. Be inspiring. Be amazing. We know that you guys all have that capability out there. So tell the people how they can find out about you or follow you, or
You can follow us on Instagram at Greenwaves Compost, Facebook at Greenwaves Compost, and we are online at www.greenwavescompost.com. You can sign up for your bin on there or learn more about other ways that we're working in the community and other initiatives to come.
do you have a calendar of events, or is there stuff that you post on Instagram to find out about your classes?
Yep, Instagram. I don't have any actual classes or anything set up. These are community members have reached out to me asking me to come, but I will be posting as soon as we are closer to the farmers markets and those other community events. Any vendor things I'll be at, everybody will know.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody
you
go
for
check out
having me.
Allison's stuff.
Yeah.
Green Waves Compost is awesome. She's awesome. Thank you so much for helping Erie move in a positive direction, because that's really what we need in the world today.
Absolutely.
So you're
Heck
amazing.
yeah. Thank you
and
guys for
congrats on
having
being
me.
an amazing mom and having a wonderful little daughter too.
Oh, yes, she really is.
All right.
Thank you.
And everybody out there, thank you guys for loving and supporting us and supporting this message of growth and community that we try to share with you each week. Make sure you hit all those likes and follows and
Hit 'em.
subscribes. Hit ours, hit Allison's, hit the Green Wave Compost likes. Just
do it.
do it.
do it.
Flood it with
Find
it.
anything
Don't think
local
about
area
it.
and hit those likes.
I
Yeah.
promise we won't get mad if you do it too much.
No,
Oh,
not at
well,
all.
And I'm also offering gold stars to anybody that shares any of our posts. So if you want to collect a GIF gold star, then share that shit.
I got a silver one for you.
Dave will give you a silver one.
Because
There you go.
I don't think that you're working as hard as Tony does.
But-
you need to do it more.
You all know that I am the true mastermind of this whole production is Gideon, who failed to grace us with her presence today, which is unfortunate, but she's really the mastermind. I haven't been doing anything. I just let her do all the work for me. So
You're giving away our secrets, my cat.
Yeah. She's very good at editing and making social
she's
media
a genius,
posts. Yeah.
she's a very incredible creature.
I have a very lazy office manager.
She does her best. Don't say that about my office manager.
She's going to come down here and start some problems.
All right. Well, we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. You have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Bye.